Well, tonight we're going to celebrate Jacob's 18th year rites of passage. And for those of you who don't know, the 18th year rites of passage is a culmination of a few years of rites of passages that have taken place over the course of their life since they were 5 years old all the way till now they're 18 years old. Jacob's first rites of passage began when he was 5 years old, when we had the family get around him and tell him of all of the things that they are observing that he's doing today that will eventually be the very things that will be what a man does as he enters into the life of being a manhood, enters through the life of manhood. There are 5 things that we have always talked about that a man must do to be a real man. And since they're 5 years old, we were able to identify certain things in their lives that they were doing that looked like a man. And since 5 years old, that's what happened, and we began his first step of receiving the beads that he'll receive tonight that are like these beads that will symbolize that he has entered into a manhood. He just received one bead when he was 5 years old. And then when he was 10 years old, we did his 10-year rites of passage where he and I went away. It was a great time of going down to San Diego on a train, and it was during that time that we listened to Dr. Dobson's Preparing for Adolescence about what it's going to be like to turn into an adolescent before he even knew what that was going to be. And so we drove the train down there and we talked about very candid things and spent the night down in San Diego. And the next morning we got up and lo and behold, a limousine was waiting for us that took us back up to Orange County, and he got the opportunity to live kind of a big lifestyle. And the theme of his 10-year rites of passage was dream big, because the way Jacob was, we thought that his the way his life would probably would be an opportunity to do things that a lot of people didn't do. And he really got, like, so far as panning out, that's kind of the experience for him. And so that was his theme. We got to play baseball that day because we had a game on that Saturday. So the limousine pulls up to his school or to the baseball field, and he comes out, gets in his uniform, plays the baseball game, and after the baseball game gets in the limousine and we head to Disneyland. And we spent the time at Disneyland talking about how Walt Disney had a big dream that a lot of people didn't really believe in. But here we are in Disneyland experiencing the reality of the big dream of Walt Disney. So throughout the course of that day, people were coming up to him, reiterating some of the things I had already been talking to him, because I had some special help to allow me to use these people to come up and ask him questions. And once they did, he would receive a token that would represent what he had just learned. And so that was the whole theme, dream big, and he received his gifts that time, his treasure chest of things, that letters from his uncles and from his grandfathers that talked about their experience of growing up and being a man, and their encouragement to him about dreaming big. And then our next rites of passage was when he and I went to Jamaica, and that was the jumping off of the cliff experience, where you jump off the cliff, and both he and his mom, me and his mom did, and his older brother did, and his now this was his time to experience that. So he had the opportunity to do that. And during the 13-year rites of passage, the theme is preparing to fight your own battles. And this is a time when we talk about, as a young man, you're going to create battles in your life, but you want to make sure that those battles are the ones that men just in general are going to fight, and not ones that you just make up because of being irresponsible. So that was the theme of the 13-year rites of passage, preparing to fight your own battles. And when he got home, he received his sword, which was a symbol of that passage, preparing to fight your own battles. So this theme for his 18th year is shine bright and lead on. And the theme of that is to shine bright the way that God has already allowed him to do, and to lead on along the path that God is leading him, so that he can lead others along that path. And we want to celebrate that for Jacob, because I have seen him over the last couple of years do things that I am very blessed and proud that he is on the path to become a man, and not just a man, but to become a man of God. And there's no greater joy that a parent has than to see that their children are walking in the way of the Lord, as Peter talks about. So I'm very excited to celebrate this evening with all of you, and for you to join in celebrating Jacob's passage into manhood as he shines bright and leads on.